Right. Hi. This is UrAvgChinese, and thank you for coming back to the video. Um, Today we're gonna talk about the infamous single child policy. Single child policy. Here I dug up some evidence, which is clearly say on the surface. It's called Single Child Parents Honorary Certificate. It's just mind-boggling for you to imagine, I think, because this is very specific to my hometown, to my homeland. I think we're the only we're the only we're the only nation that promotes single child. I think previously during the Second World War or just post-war era, Soviet Union had a promotion policy towards having more children. So populate is encouraged, um, but and also in Romania, right? So they will prohibit abortion. They will prohibit any prohibition on getting pregnant. So they would like to have more children born as naturally as possible. And here for how long? It started from 84. So from 1984 up until almost 5 years ago, almost 40 years, almost 35 to 40 years, this policy had been heavily enforced. And even until today, right now, up until now, the policy is still in place. It's just eased a little bit to loosen up, to ease up for single child control, but it's still a double children control. So the control is still there. It's just eased off a bit. And for the passing of the time, they have a reinforcement clause of fining parents who were having the second child or second, third, fourth. They will get fined based on the percentage of your actual level income, and also you will be scrutinized and excruciated in the social networks, in social fabrics. For example, if you have any ties to the regime, if you're a government working clerk or official, you will be downgraded. If you work for SOEs, state-owned enterprises, and your job will be in jeopardy. If you work for any public services, like you are a public school teacher or a hospital employment, whether a nurse or a doctor, you will be downgraded, or you will lose your job. You will lose your livelihood. So it is a bit eased on that front, but still there is still such a policy in place. It's just not called single child policy nowadays for the past 5 years. It's still called birth control policy, but it's eased off to 2 children. And after that, the third, the fourth, it's not easy to get. And nowadays the living pressure and economic constraints is the best birth control pill. So the willingness to have children is to the historic low. I think it's the historic low throughout human history, even though it's more often reported for South Korea or Singapore or Japan to have a very low birth rate. But actually the actual birth rate in China, especially from the urban population, which is almost more than half, is lower than all the countries mentioned above. It's impossible, and the population will be shrinking very, very dramatically, scarily shrinking very soon. Not within like decades, but within years. We're counting 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and 5 years. The population will be shrinking in great numbers, in millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions within, I think, 1 decade. It'll shrink like 200 million or even 300 million. And then, we'll be a nation that has less than 1 billion people very, very quickly. Okay, let's get back to today's topic. It's the actual evidence, the very real thing, which is called Single Child Parents Honorary Certificate. And you can see the title here, but it's actually been issued by the Population and Family Planning Committee, right? Population and Family Planning, or Birth Control Committee. And Now this is what it's looked like. For the first page, it says, so 群众, this means you have no political status. It's like the mass population. It's very Chinese specific political terminology to describe those ones who has no political status. It's called 群众, right? So the people with no political status executes the family planning or birth control. The party and the government did not forget, right? So this the reason, the main purpose of issuing such honorary certificate is to present an idea of a monetary compensation scheme if you have already abide and executed the birth control scheme. So it was supposed to give you some money, very, very little money, like maybe, you know, the money, the amount supposed to be is only equivalent to like monthly or annually equivalent to the money buying bus tickets, public transportation tickets, kind of a small amount, really, really small. It says it's read vertically. It's read vertically. It's said and written and read from right to left, top to down, right? So it's birth control. The honorary is at the contemporary time, and the benefit will last for generations. Okay, thousands of years, thousands altens. The benefit will last for thousands altens. The honorary, the good deed, is done contemporarily. Okay, so basically propaganda, right? Telling you that the government and the party did not forget that you have already complied. Yes, that's the better word. Complied or executed or you know, abide to this policy, the birth control policy. And then with a picture of the child, and then here says the name of the single child, and the gender, date of birth, and the serial number of this very certificate, and the issuance date. It's like I don't know. It's slightly similar to a dog tag from the military, or some infamous time for labeling and tagging people, tagging mass population, back when the Third Reich was still in place. And oh yeah, by the way, that party is also called National Socialists. So it's actually the same, right? It's the same, at least on the face value. The naming scheme is the same. Right. Okay. So it's propaganda. Give you a sense, give you a taste, right? And then it's the second page. It says the parent's name, right? The father's name, the patriarch's name, and its employer, its job place, and the mother's name and the job place. It's designed for an institution of planned economy. Everybody works for the state, or a department of the state, or one of the arms extended from the state. So the economy was heavily a very heavy factor of controlling people's lives. And you're supposed to work for one place that is controlled or belong to the unibody of the whole, right? You know, call it a nation or a government or a factory or anything. And then so this one, it's actually the certificate holder. So this should have one name, one parent name if the marriage was divorced already, or two parents name, which the two parents of the single child are still together. So this certificate will be held by these two, and they will present this when they go collect some compensation. Okay, and here it says the family address, and it says the issuance government body, control body. And on the right side, it says single child parents. Well, it's not really compensation. It says stimulus. Stimulus given record. So it's been stimulized to comply to this policy. It's not compensating. They're not regretting anything. They do not feel guilty or sorry. They said if you abide, if you basically the government back then maybe still now, it says if you play ball, if you just be nice, play ball, and subject to my policy, I will stimulate to you a small like tiny amount of money that is probably only sufficient for buying monthly bus tickets. And it records the year. So this one is actually being given annually. Okay, so this one is the year, the amount, and there's a seal, there's a stamp, and distributed or recorded separately or individually to the parent. So this one is the male parent, father's employer location, giving such amount and with a seal, and mother's employer giving such amount and with a seal, and a stamp from the actual birth control committee, right? Okay, and they have several pages of this. So they have like on the right hand side, this page has contained a lot, I think. Okay, so it's about 20 pages of the second page that they will give you. So about 20 years, about 15 to 20 years of this stimulus, monthly bus tickets money, just to shut you up, right? Because you have give up the opportunity, the tremendous blessing to have a second or third or fourth or fifth kids, whatever kids you want. Basically, it's just your offspring. It's ostracizing people just by bus tickets money. And then after that, stimulus stamping all finished, at the end of this certificate, it gives you a few legal terms, legal grounds, and to indicate. So it's actually, this is less than it's a government executive proceeding. It's not really a law, but they're the same, because official says you do this, whether it's a law or it's not, challenging it will be no point, right? No point to challenge, because you don't want to bring yourself more trouble. So this one says the government, the administration proceedings defines the stimulus towards those parents who have abided to the single child policy, meaning not having any more child rather than one. It says voluntarily throughout your life only have one child. The couple can apply for such a certificate. So it's actually a volunteer, right? No, it's not a volunteer. There's penalty if you don't abide. If you do not volunteer, you'll be penalized. Volunteer, and for your lifetime. It's such a long seal. It's like a curse, and you only get compensated, or you only get stimuli for a pocket change bus ticket money. And then it says here, so those ones who works for a government body or any, basically the state-owned economy employment people who obtained this certificate can have the following benefits. Okay, they will receive, for a couple, right? For a couple, for one single child, for a couple, the two of them, no less than 100 RMB annually. That's even less than 1 month's bus ticket, because 1 month's bus ticket will probably cost you 200 to 300 RMB. This is for 1 year, no less than 100 RMB for the couple, for two people. Okay, and starting from the issuance date of this certificate up until the single child is 14 years old. So as oh my goodness, I did not realize how cruel this is. So from the point, so after the date of birth of the child, you probably will be thinking about having a second or a third, and from the time that you determine that you will be giving up this rights of giving birth to another child, a second child, and you start to apply for this certificate, which will cost time, like 6 months or 12 months. So I would say the duration, the validity of actually receiving this stimulus, no less than 100 RMB every year, will be maximized most likely to be 10 years, right? So it will only last for 14, and then you have to apply for this. Oh my God. And then if the mother have some difficulty raise the infant, she can apply, actively applying, not really being given, actively applying for 6 months of breeding and milking leave, and the monthly wage will be no less than 80% of its full wage. And also this will not be affecting to calculate the years that you served. And the second one is, if possible, if the employer is able, then the mother can receive 1 year childcare leave. It's not a guarantee. If the employer can, if the employer is able, so it can have this. And then it says, the no less than 100 RMB annually, the stimulus fee will be will be splitted from 2 employers of the couple equally, so half, right? Right, so they're always very skint and very tight with money for the population. They are extravagant with money elsewhere, but they will be very, very tight, very, very skint with the money to their own people, to those ones who are, within the so-called, people with no political rights, 群众, right? And it says if one side of the parents are from rural, so this is another, downgrade, tiering kind of classification thing. If one of the parents are from rural, or one of the parents are deceased, and then this money, this stimulus, will be born from the one parent that is still alive or that is not rural, which means urban employer, of the employer from that. And this one, the 41, is okay, so if you have given one birth with 2 children, like a twins or more, you do not, you cannot receive this single child policy stimulus, even it's peanut money. And then the 42 is, if the locale, municipalities or employer can afford, are able to, this single child stimulus can be transferred into a retirement pension fund, a part of that. It does not really matter, the number is so small, it cannot have any material effect. But still, it's trivial. It's the laws are just the regulations and the proceedings, the rules, the rule of the game is so detailed, right? So detailed. And number 43, it says, if a rural person is the holder of this certificate, the single child of this family will be treated as 2 persons when it comes to the planned economy, a collective economy, and when they are applying for building permissions for living of the house. Oh, by the way, I need to insert here, introduce to you with one point of view, or with one point that you will know. It's an anchor that you will know the fundamentals of the land ownership of China. So nobody owns any land, right? So if you are among the population from urban areas, you do not own any land. If you are the population of the rural areas, you were told you own a land, but you do not actually own it, because you cannot tell which piece of land actually belongs to you. You belong to a village, and the village has a brigade. So the ownership is called collective ownership. The whole village, the whole brigade owns the whole village, but not, well, so conceptually speaking, you individual person from rural place will own a land, but you do not know which one, which very spot that you own. You belong to a brigade, and you need to apply from the brigade, and the brigade permit you to have the planning, and then you can have, appointed by the leader, the official of the brigade at the time, here or there to build a house and have your life. So if factually speaking, you do not own any specific land. You just own a imaginative lot of the collective brigade, and the brigade's ownership of the entire land of the village. And it can be changed anytime by anyone who is having greater power than you and that. Okay, so this is, some so-called benefits for the rural people to give up their childbirth rights, to just limit themselves to single child, and then being treated as having 2 persons in the land application and distribution and permission when they want to build or expand their living space. And the 44 is said the rural residents or those ones without employment but still holds this certificate shall receive such a stimulus. The amount will be according to its county or municipality's administration, which means this is a breakout rule for the first one that defines that the stimulus will be no less than 100 RMB. This one actually breaks that out, saying if 100 RMB is still unaffordable, they can say whatever they want. They can say 2 or 3 or 5, right? So there's no constraints of, there's no abiding power of this so-called no less than 100 kind of thing. And here it comes to the last page. It says this is a proof for the single child policy abinder, complier, to receive if there is any other benefit related to single child policy. And it says this certificate needs to be kept properly. If lost, the holder needs to reapply in written. And this one is also very, very obscure. It says if you change your job, and you need to have this certificate reported to your new employer, so that you will be receiving this. You'll be receiving this stimulus from the new employer. It's a virtual description. You don't, so in real life, almost none people will get this unless you work for the government and having power yourself. So the rule is playing in your favor. Otherwise, the rule will play to the end that you don't get anything. You don't get much, at least. You get bus tickets money or even less. And the last one says, if you have this certificate already and you are having a second child, this certificate will be retained, and all the previous stimulus, the bus tickets money, collectively speaking, will be calculated and retrieved from you. Yeah, I think today I've been through a lot, and yeah, I mean, for a single child myself, and reading through this, my general reaction is there's no, so the control is so detailed, and the actual design, at the back of all these is very brutal. Is very it's like a standoff. It's like it's very detailed. It's very specific, and it's very firm. The control is very firm. Okay, today we have already covered this, and also a bit of the land ownership and the divide and the tiering, right? Rural person, urban person, what kind of status you have, land ownership, and employers, and basically the government does not need to pay this, right? Any employer will pay this, and there's no constraints of actual responsibility, a guarantee of actually paying. It can be less or almost nothing. So in practice, the absolute majority of population who have been abiding to the single child policy will not receive a dime, will not receive much. Maybe bus tickets money, maybe less, or probably less. Okay, let's wrap it up for today, and we'll see you in the next. Thank you very much.